January 13th, 2024. Live streaming from a distant galaxy, this is the world's most controversial podcast, the Doomsy McDoomscroller Show. A philosophical science fiction series featuring realistic futurology and refreshingly heretical commentary on the news. And we'll start today by looking at this headline here off the Yahoo Newswire. It's from the New York Times. Headline reads, "The regional war no one wanted is here. How wide will it get?" Okay, now I got a question. That first part of this headline. The regional war no one wanted is here. Somebody must have wanted it. There's a war going on. Let's scroll down this thing here. From the outbreak, blah, blah, blah. Keep the war contained. Regional escalation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, there is no longer a question of whether there will be a regional conflict. It has already begun. The biggest questions now are the conflict's intensity and whether it can be contained. Can it be contained? It's war, no one. Yours is the culture of maximum conflict. It is impossible for humans, or I would think, really, any species around any star system, on any planet, in any galaxy, in any universe for that matter, it's impossible for a species to come up with a culture that has more conflict. It's what you've been doing for 10,000 years. This is your culture. It's a culture of maximum conflict. It's also the culture of maximum delusions. Civilized culture built on this delusion of grandeur, delusion of godhood, really. You've imaged yourselves as gods. And so there's kind of two things going on here in relation to this headline, to this news article. One is that your culture is all about conflict and war. War versus Earth, building pyramids to foster pharaohs that then do war, then go to war, all due to your primary mission as a species, what y'all believe anyways, is to conquer the planet. Yeah, you're being punished for doing that. It's like a punishment, but somehow it still makes sense that you're supposed to be doing that. Yeah, it's weird. It's bizarre. And it's because that you yourselves think that the most famous origin story of civilized people, the most famous story in the world, You think that was a story originally told by your culture, about your culture. When no, it was a story told by victims of civilized culture. The victims of civilized culture originally told that story. Long before writing came around. People were telling that story about your culture. And they were being murdered. I mean, because that's your track record. Genocide and slavery. Everywhere people of civilized culture have gone since the beginning of your culture, they're in the Fertile Crescent, a dozen thousand years ago. Everywhere you've gone, genocide and slavery. Because yours is the culture of maximum conflict. But because you also got this delusion of grandeur, this delusion of godhood, you really think you should be in complete and total control of everything. Right? If Citizen A hits Citizen B in the face, there's a physical conflict there. That's against the law. That's against the law. Throw that person in a cage. You got this weird fantasy of complete and total control, like it would ever be possible. Just like stop all violence. Like you could have some kind of like utopia that you could ever hope to control it. It's ridiculous. Maximum conflict. You're looking to contain it? It's a war nobody wanted. I think a bunch of people wanted it. Hamas wanted it. Iran wanted it. People would argue that Israel wanted it. All kinds of arguments could be made. I mean, Hamas, they openly declare their passion for genocide, for committing genocide. You know what the real humanitarian crisis is? Civilized culture. That's the crisis. Civilized culture. Just think of it. For 300,000 years, you didn't have wars. I mean, you had fights, there were battles. Creatures compete on every planet. That's what I'm telling you. I mean, I've experienced that. In this galaxy, other galaxies. And it happens. It's just the way of the universe. And violence is a thing. Blood is drawn between differing species, between the same species. It's just how it goes. But what civilized culture does is y'all force everybody to live via the same exact lifestyle. All of you get your calories via holy war agriculture, aka totalitarian agriculture, aka farming. And this coercion, this insistence of a violent insistence by civilized people that everybody live in the same exact way. Everybody live via farming. Everybody gets their calories from holy war agriculture. What that does is that just ratchets, oh my gosh, can I even say that? It ratchets up the competition between y'all to just maximum intensity. You could think about it this way. Let's see. Imagine a little ecosystem. Imagine, well, any planet. Think of a pond and all the creatures that spend most of their day around the pond. You got mosquitoes, you got birds, you got frogs. And now you might have some competition between the birds and the frogs, but not quite as much competition as there is between frogs and other frogs, because frogs are all similar. They need the same things. They're competing more intensely with each other than they are with the birds. And then how about the same exact species of frog? Not just any kind of frog in the pond. There's multiple species there. Let's figure that out of all these frogs, several species. Look at the competition between differing species. Now then, look at the competition between the same species. Even more intense, right? If it comes to mating, I mean, you're going after the same partners, same exact diet, same exact way to get food. And what civilized culture has done on your planet has forced everyone to live in the same exact way. And so you have maximum competition, maximum conflict. That's just how you do things. So regional war no one wanted. That's what you're always at war. You're constantly at war. That's why Doomsy's telling you there's enough evidence for me to stay in this particular universe, because by the time I get back, oh wow, Wi-Fi's working good today. right. That was one of those calls you have to take, right? One of those calls you always have to take. And it's nice. Nice to still have some connection to the universe that I'm from. Fortunately, I got some good Wi-Fi. So, you're always wanting that. Yours is a culture of maximum conflict, and you think that it should be completely controlled. It's just ridiculous. So there's two things going on there. Your complete and utter total failure to exert godlike power over everything, control physical conflicts, control violence. You're a complete and total loser, total failure doing that. But you think you should. You think you should be able to do that, being the gods that you are, the gods that your culture tells you that you are. And yet you're also created a culture that creates maximum conflict. So you're in these wars all the time. Here we go with Florida man article. Florida man allegedly posted on social media that he planned racially motivated mass violence. DOJ. 26-year-old Florida man with ties to the Aryan white supremacist movement has been charged by federal prosecutors after he allegedly warned online that he was planning to conduct a racially or ethnically motivated mass casualty event, according to court documents and sealed on. Look, you guys, you may think, okay, Doomsday, how could you suggest, I mean, how can you criticize civilized culture? No, it's pretty easy. Just do it. I mean, it's just a word. I know it's this hallowed name that you think it's beyond reproach. But, it's not. It's not. Also, if you believe that the only alternative to civilized culture is anarchy, chaos, well, your beliefs are based on bullshit. And plain and simple. Now, all the evidence bears that out. When Holy War agriculturalists got to North America, I'm talking about European farmers, got to North America, it wasn't anarchy. A dozen million uncivilized people, non-civilized people, really, I should say. Non-civilized. Uncivilized. I don't know, that kind of just makes it sound like it's inevitable or something, right? So, maximum violence. There's no such thing as race. Race does not exist among human beings, yet nowhere in this article is that pointed out. Okay, and let's look at another one here. Here we go. Civil rights groups horrified at Elon Musk's racist outburst against black people. Earlier this week, multi-hyphenate billionaire Elon Musk endorsed a tweet suggesting black students at historically black colleges and universities have lower IQs and shouldn't become pilots. Yeah, this guy's one of the pharaohs. Look, these people they're nobody special. They are not leaders. They don't have any special knowledge. They don't have any special skills. This guy has no skills whatsoever with regards to doing something that the planet needs. I mean, at least no special skills at all. I mean, his brain's all messed up. He thinks that there's such thing as races, and there's not. I don't even like how this article is worded. Using an adjective of a color to describe students, people. I mean, by saying that there's black students, doesn't it kind of make it seem like that there's also like students that aren't black? Like there's this sub species here, and there's another subspecies over here. And no, but that's not the case. There's only Homo sapiens. That's it. You're all the same type of earthling, mammal, primate, simian. You know, it's just ridiculous. Nowhere in this article does it say anything about the fact that there's no such thing as race. No such thing as race. Nowhere. Scrolling. It's not there. So that's the media, the government, just reinforcing divisions and differences between people, because even if they aren't aware of it, it serves the pharaohs. If you can get all the peasants and commoners at the bottom hating each other, no matter what, this applies in every single economic system, civilized economic systems. It's all about fostering pharaohs. So that's what you got. You got pharaohs. You got a lot of racist. So racism is real. That's a real thing. Racial differences? No, that's not. That's not a real thing. There's no such thing as racial differences between people. It does not exist. And as long as governments and people keep pushing the labels that, conflating ethnicity with race, a thing that doesn't exist, race, with the thing that does exist, ethnicity, and then defining people by, Crayola, crayon colors, couple few crayon colors, and then a few land masses. It just makes no sense. Makes no sense to categorize people that way. I mean, we all know what. I mean, the background of this webpage, that's white. That's white. Well, there's some transparency to it, so you kind of see it as. And the overlays, the graphics, Doomsy's using, that's black. I've never seen people those colors. So it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous because you got this going on. Scientists explain why the record-shattering 2023 heat has them on edge. Warming may be worsening. This is from Friday, January 12th. So this is from yesterday. And that's just so you have that going on. And then you have headlines like this right next to it. Tearful Russian billionaire who spent $2 billion on art tells jurors Sotheby's cheated him. Yeah, I don't know. Sotheby's or Sotheby's? I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's because I can't afford anything they're selling. Oh, someone made this guy cry. Why does something like this even exist? Why does somebody... You know why? Here's why you got this headline. Here's why you got this guy here. It's because it's in your DNA. According to the mythology of your culture. The only reason that this thing is going on right now, that you got a billionaire crying about losing a few $100 million on art. You got that going on right now because you think it's necessary. You think that's if you don't have kings, then you aren't really human beings. That's the mythology of your culture. You want wars, you got wars. You got the culture of maximum conflict. 10,000 years of conflict. Now you're running out of space, and you keep increasing the production of food surpluses, which fuels your population growth. And you're running out of space. 2 billion, 4 billion warmongers. Now you're at 8 billion. 8 billion warmongering, holy war agriculturalists, building pyramids as big and tall and as they possibly can. Everything on earth is a resource for y'all. And you got this billionaire crying. You got Putin doing whatever. You got people worried about an authoritarian coming to power. You got this because that's what you think you have to have. That's a belief 10,000 years old, and now you think it's connected with the stuff you have, civilized culture. So in your minds, you think that it'd be impossible to have, like, say, electricity without having CEOs of power companies, without having millionaires. You gotta have millionaires, right? You just got to, according to your culture. And then here you got this. Study shows 90% of marine species at risk of extinction by 2100 if greenhouse gas emissions are not curbed. So, this is going to happen between 3 and 5 degrees. 3 and 5 degrees. So you're headed that way. I'm still in this universe because I think it's possible that, maybe this won't happen. Let's see. Let's go back to scientists. So this is from yesterday. They talk about the 1.5 degrees Celsius. They're hoping to... here's what they say. I want to scroll down. An ominous clue. It's almost as if we popped. So they say, there we go. I do not consider it realistic that we can limit warming, averaged over several years, to 1.5 C, wrote Woodwell Climate Research Center scientist Jennifer Francis in an email. It is technically possible, but politically impossible. So there you go. There you go. Politically impossible. Oh, gee, 90% of marine life disappearing pretty much means, most large mammals taking a big hit. I'm not talking large ocean mammals. Land it's going to affect everything. What, no more seafood? You think that's not going to impact every single supply chain? Timber industry going down because of deforestation? I mean, bye-bye plankton, bye-bye corals. Oh, sorry, it would just been too expensive. Don't you see this? This is an omen. We're talking about the extinction of human beings. Doomsday doesn't want to be the only one left. I'm trying to make my way back to Earth. It's going to take me a long time to get there. Hence the realistic futurology element of this show. Oh, I want to make it back. So I'm telling you what's going to happen. What's happening right now. And it's the most powerful thing that anybody can do, is to talk about abandoning civilized culture. That's the most powerful thing anyone can do. So these people who aren't really leaders, the crying billionaires, they're not, what the most they could do too is talk about abandoning civilized culture. Abandoning the pharaoh, the culture of pharaohs, the culture of maximum conflict. People are talking about it. But you just aren't attuned to these conversations because it's so alien. It's the ultimate blasphemy to question your culture. But that's what's happening. I mean, you really think, you got Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen Beta. You think Gen Beta's kids won't want to have anything to do with civilized culture? You think they're going to go to school? They're not. Gen Beta's kids will not be going to high school. I guarantee you that. Deforestation is going to make sure that there is not one tiniest little bit of economic reason to go to high school. It's going to make sure of that. So I'm just complaining because I'm not sure. Do I jump universes? Do I try to find another Earth? I'm trying to get back to this one that's in this universe. I think it's my original Earth. I got the original Wi-Fi, or so I believe. Pretty close to what I left. It's technically possible. Jennifer Francis said it is technically possible, but politically impossible. Politically impossible. And I agree. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to use reverse psychology to say, oh, come on, you just need more political activism. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. It really is politically impossible. Because your culture is effed up. Can't be fixed. It's politically impossible within the culture of civilization. The technically possible part, that comes from, technically, you would have to abandon civilized culture. I mean, en masse. People are already trying to do it. It's not easy to do. You can't just abandon it like as individuals. I mean, you can look for ways to promote sustainable cultures and talk, but you're all caught in a stampede right now. 8 billion of you. So you can't expect people just drop out of the culture, because if you hit the brakes while you're in a stampede, you're going to get trampled to death. So Doomsy's just telling you about what the conversations that are going to become more and more relevant, more noticeable, and around you. The people are talking, and there's a lot more people are ready to talk about this. They're ready. They may be few and far between compared to 8 billion, but there's millions of you. Millions of people. And here's the great thing about this revolution, that will rid yourselves of crying billionaires. You don't want any more crying billionaires. No more crying millionaires. No more royalty. The revolution that's going to do that has no leaders. Nobody's a leader. Almost by definition. So it's a revolution that cannot be put down, because it's not about rearranging the content at the top of the socioeconomic hierarchy. It's not one of those typical revolutions. So it can't be put down by the people at the top. I'm talking about a revolution where people just leave. And the neo-pharaohs are powerless to stop that. They are powerless, because it's not a revolution that they can put down. There's no resistance. Instead of people thinking, well, enough on that. You got questions, comments, opinions, complaints? www.doomsymcdoomscroller.com.